how fabricated do you think it might have been?
It's fucking insane.
It's pretty mental.
That was so awkward to watch. Jada was upset, and that's totally cool. You're allowed to be. He just fucking made fun of your disease. But like Will Smith should have just got on stage and just had a word with him and just said, dude, that's not cool.
I think he probably just looked over and saw his wife and was just like, actually, you know what? That's that's not all right. I see it from his side. I do. And I am a huge Will Smith fan. I have loved everything he's ever done. I love his music. I love his movies, everything. And I like what he stands for the most part. But this is super disappointing to me. Like,
I mean, everyone has moments. I'm not going to judge 100%. Someone's entire lifespan on a shit moment. First of all, just for the record, and I'm sure all of us on Basement Discourse agree, violence should not ever be the go-to.
No, that's not the solution here. Absolutely not.
It should only ever be like
it's a last resort.
Defensive go-to if necessary. Yeah. And even then it should be like restrained, right? What gets to me is the dude had to come to that realization, stand up, and then walk like, 20 steps? Those are a lot of steps to take to not have the thought, or to have the thought and then disregard it along the way. There's a lot of cameras, there's a lot of stuff going on. Maybe this could be dealt with later. Like, blind rage will only carry you, I reckon, tops 4 steps. He went 20 on.
Yeah.
Like, he knew what he was fucking doing.
My wife is still convinced. My wife is still convinced it's not real. She's like, no, it's not real. Like, what do you mean not real? Like, come on.
Well, I suggested that because no one stops him.
Yes, the ratings are terrible.
And then he turns around, walks, sits down, still no one.
Yeah, but like no one stops like Kanye or exactly. And like I didn't expect him to hit him. Like, if I hadn't already known that was going to happen, I would have been like, oh, he's going up. He's going to call this guy out. He's going to get on the mic. And then all of a sudden he slaps him.
But then no after effect either?
Yeah,
it was just
like,
awkward. What are you going to do then? Not tackle him.
Like,
take him down. He's got a fist.
Like, so
he's got two hands, boys. He's got 2 hands.
Yeah, but Chris starts
New
talking
York
again.
police, they just show up. He's got a gun.
But Chris starts talking again with his jaw slightly off to one side and just like continues on. And Will starts yelling at him and still nothing happens. No one stops shit.
Because this is that awkward ass moment. It's like, all right, do we
kick out the millionaire?
It's a live
thing. I don't know. It is in his events, I feel.
Stop stuff. Trying to see his point of view to a degree, right? Obviously, his emotions are already quite heightened. He's just won an award, just given a speech in which he cried in. Like, he was... I mean, he's an actor, so fucking who knows. But presumably his emotions are quite high. And then someone says something that's quite brutal about someone he cares about. And I can get it, but I still think just the number of steps he had to make to still decide
that went by. Yep.
To still decide violence is where I'm going, and then to just walk back and sit, like, it's just too meditated. It doesn't feel like momentary rage to me to watch it again.
Like, it's not justifying it, still not good, still not the right response. But who knows what could have happened, behind the doors, Maybe they had words prior to this. Maybe he's had fallings out with Chris that we don't even know about. I don't know. Like, there could be a lot building up to this point.
He also has a comedic background, though, as well. Like, it doesn't mean that you're not maybe more judgmental to it, but you would think you're a bit more tolerant than others, because you'd be like...
But that said, like, that was a really distasteful joke, and obviously
it was.
Like, Chris Rock didn't make that up on the spot and be like, "Hey, it'd be really funny is if I rip on Will's wife." It's been premeditated. That's written down but somewhere, and it's been discussed for hours by many people. And so I feel like it was even if it wasn't Will just went up and slapped him. It's not real.
Which is why
I think it was real.
Sure why
I think Will's rage was real.
Stop Will.
No, but that's exactly right. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So shut the fuck up. That's what I mean. So, like, these guys are sat down. They've premeditated it. Exactly. They knew what was happening. And they're like, cool, we're going to get the trigger response from, say, well, we're gonna have 4 triggers here, and one of them's Will, and there might be 3 others that are inappropriate jokes that someone may or may not be pissed off on. And hey, look, Will's taken the bait. Let's watch it go down. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Will, you fucked up. But were these things premeditated? Were there a few different triggers that we didn't even see or respond to from other actors? They were just trying to get a reaction because, as you said, the ratings are shithouse on these things because they're fucking terrible and way too long.
I wouldn't have even known this shit was happening. Like, I don't give a fuck about awards.
I had no idea it was on. Like, and then I realized how recent it is. I'm like, oh shit, it's still on. Like, you know what I mean?
I didn't realize it was on. Twitter was like, Oscars are on. And I was like, fucking what?
I wouldn't be surprised if this was a premeditated thing to try and get someone pissed off enough to get up on stage. Like the Kanye thing, that was talked about for ages afterwards. You're like, well, that was fucking awkward. Anytime this happens, you know, like Eminem, even back in the day, saying he's going to take Christina and shit. Like, these are all moments that people talk about for a long time. It's not like no one gives a fuck about these awards. They want these things to happen. So I feel like this could be premeditated in some way, and Will's just accidentally...
Well, they could have just said to Chris, just do your most offensive shit, like just your most offensive roasts of the audience, and just bam. But in saying that, who the fuck references a sequel to a movie from the 90s to insult someone with alopecia?
It's really obsolete. Like, you know, you really had to have premeditated
that joke. I had to Google
joke.
it to get the fucking joke.
Same. I was like, what does he mean? Like, what is...
I was like,
what is
G.I.
this
Jane? What's that
really?
old movie? Was there a new one?
I got that. I still just think you don't get that far on blind rage. You don't get that close to the person who said it, and then only take one hit and walk away. If you've decided to hit someone in front of that big a crowd with all of those cameras...
But, Brady, so you're Brady, are you on the stage like where you're saying Will's doing this like he's faking it? Like, this is all premeditated? Is that what you're saying?
I'm
not saying I'm 100% on that, but I would not be surprised if it came out that was the case.
I think I'm sort of there with you.
Yeah.
I just think that it felt so fucking awkward.
It was super weird afterwards.
Premeditated, then it was very poorly done.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know about the premeditation on Will's behalf. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm a fan. I just don't feel like he would agree to have done that in how poor taste it is. Like, especially because they would be talking shit about his wife and bringing that up anyway. And he would have had to have agreed to that. Like, oh, yeah, this is a great idea, guys. You give me $1 million, you can talk shit about my wife, and then I'll go up and slap Chris Rock, and it'll be a thing. I feel like that's damaging to him no matter which way you look at it. And he really cares about his image, which he's built on for 30 years. So maybe, I don't think Will was in on it.
Let's be honest. When was the last good Will Smith movie?
I mean, I guess the one that he just won an Oscar for, but I haven't seen it. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
but it's
maybe
not like
he agreed to do it. Like, he is an actor.
Nah, I don't see it. Not when it brings limelight into like on his wife for all the bad reasons. I don't know,
man. They raised weird fucking children. They must be a little bit unhinged. So let's leave this on like a vote, I guess. 1 to 10. How fabricated do you think it might have been? Just as a pure number.
4.
After saying it out loud, I'm starting to convince myself that not fabricated by Will, but I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 of fabrication level on the Oscars or whoever it is that's organizing that shit. I don't even think, I'm not convinced that even Chris Rock was aware what was going to happen. He seemed super like calm afterwards, which was fucking weird.
Still,
but he's a showman. He's a showman, and it was really weird. But you know, he's a showman, and the show goes on. Like, I'm sure he's been called out in crowds and shit. Not slapped, probably, maybe. I mean, I don't know, but I'm sure he's been called out before. But
like, I'm not that big a Chris Rock fan, but I did the way he continued on. I was like, fucking hell, that takes like.
Oh, yeah, a lot of resolve. You'd want to walk off, right, and just at least rub your face.
But more,
like, holy shit.
The fact that he just like stood there as this dude walked at him is what gets me. So I'm going to 9.5 on some level of this was fabricated for sure, if not the whole thing. Because if I say something, if I for some reason decided to say something about someone's wife and then they get out of their seat, climb onto a stage, and walk towards me. Not a chance in fucking hell there are enough cameras to make me stand still.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't even try and defend
he did
himself.
nothing.
Really, he just sort of went.
He just
held
his mic and stood still. No way would I.
They've probably also known each other for quite a while. Both being, comedians. Like, as far as I'm aware, celebrity comedians that have actually made it. Yeah, like they gel as long as they've got similar source material and stuff, and they play similar shows. I'd imagine at some point Chris Rock and Will Smith had performed together or something along those lines. So yeah, I'd imagine that they'd known each other to some degree. So I could sort of expect that maybe he was expecting Will Smith to get up there, take the mic off him and roast him. Something like that.
I mean, if you slow it down and maybe get another angle, maybe he was holding the mic out. Maybe he was oh, fair game,
Yeah,
because it's a shit angle. But I mean, is it an intentional shit angle? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
It wasn't ideal. Yeah, it was a bit weird.
And I would also like to end this section by saying, fuck awards shows. If a movie's good, it's going to stand on its own merits. I don't need to see some guy hold a piece of metal.